Hi everyone, this is Craig from the University of Applied Research and Development, and it is our privilege to have Younus Imam, who is Emergency Response Specialist from Toronto in Canada, share with us some of the principles of reducing emergency danger and preventing crime through environmental design. Now, this is critically important as Younus works with a number of places of worship and community organisations in Canada. In New Zealand, as a New Zealand citizen, I was horrified by the Christchurch mosque shootings, which happened in March 2019. During that time, 2 consecutive mosque shootings occurred. During the terrorist attack in Christchurch, March 15th, 2019, there were 51 people killed and more than 40 people were injured in the savage attack. And so it is incredibly important that as emergency response leaders, we become aware of the things that we can do in procedures and also in training of people and in the way we lay out our physical organizations to keep people safe as they go about their work, go about their interactions, and to go about their times of worship. So I want to hand over to Younus Imam, who I have the privilege to be on our contributing faculty with the University of Applied Research and Development. And as you're taking time to watch this video right now, wherever you may be, I'd encourage you to grab your notebook, grab your pen, and make notes as you listen to Younus as he shares these principles, which he's received awards for in Canada, being featured on news stations in Canada, and is internationally respected. So let's join Younus right now. Over to you, Younus.
Okay, thanks, Craig. Really appreciate being on again. And again, thank you to UARD. This is really important work that we're all doing, and I really appreciate you guys taking out the time. So we're going to talk about crime prevention through environmental design. How do you prevent crime and different security incidences through better design of your environment? So in this image, in these 2 images, you can see a darkened pathway versus the exact same pathway lit up. Where do you feel safer? Typically, what we find in crime prevention is that the lighting of an area matters a lot in terms of how likely it is to be targeted by criminals as a place to attack different people, right? So, for example, we always stay away from dark alleyways. That's because a criminal can stay hidden in these areas. There's less chances of him being seen. So we talk about surveillance, access control, and territoriality. We're going to go into each one of them in hopefully some decent detail. So the first thing is surveillance. Now, in the 2 pictures that you see, one has the house that we're looking at, or the complex of houses, is covered by lots of trees. And what happens with intensive shrubbery like that is that the people on the inside can't actually see what's going on the outside. Now, in this example, it might be a little bit more innocuous, but for a lot of facilities, if you have a tree or a set of trees or shrubbery that is blocking the view, then criminals can actually use that as hiding areas and places to break line of sight and to plan attacks. So it's important to invest in trying to, have proper maintenance of the ground so that you have maximum visibility. So things like lighting, keeping bushes and trees trimmed, and clear and safe entrances are very important for crime prevention. One thing we like to talk about with access control is that, we like to minimize the number of entrances, but maximize the number of exits. So let's say, for example, we try to make sure that we have 1 or 2 entrances, and then we try to have as many emergency exits as possible, but they're only one way. That allows people to get out during an emergency, but it also prevents people who are miscreants trying to come in from different pathways. A lot of these are some different things you can have. So having a reception desk at the front, very good for a greeting committee. Making sure that you have different types of locks and alarm systems, and access cards and keys only to trusted people. Good key control is really critical. There's a lot of different facilities that I've visited where they don't even track who's being given the keys, and they've forgotten how many different people they've given keys to. Very important to have a logging system around that. So territoriality. So that's defining a space as being owned and maintained. So that means having proper signage, high level of upkeep, and making sure, having people that are there more and more frequently is a very good idea. So obviously having regular events is really good. Making sure that you're doing regular maintenance as well. We have many facilities where the entire premises has lots and lots of old construction project waste and different issues. So these are different things that we need to actually look at and do preventative maintenance on. Now, there's a lot of different theories about sub-TED and how it works, and we're going to go into a little bit of that right now. Now, obviously, yeah, it's CPTED, Crime Prevention Through Environmental Design. We call it sub-TED in Canada. Now, here's an example of how lighting can make a huge difference. So, Fatima was a woman who was leaving the library after dark one night. She was walking to her car, but she noticed that someone was following her from close behind. What she did was that she turned towards a well-lit area, and also she made sure that other people were in the vicinity, so that now you've basically made it so that the criminal doesn't have a lot of opportunities to attack where he won't be seen. Remember, criminals are a superstitious and cowardly lot, and they're going to try to take whatever advantage they can take, and they're going to try to minimize harm to themselves. So obviously this is the example of trying to prevent that kind of incident from happening. So obviously these are just the three kind of principles again, just to reinforce that. And these are just different ways that surveillance can be exercised and different places where people can be seen from. So the more chances of somebody being seen, the less chances of there being criminal activity. And obviously having different paths of movement, very important. And obviously fencing is a very, very important principle. So this is an example of a place where they've actually put all the principles in place. The shrubbery isn't too overwhelming or overpowering. There's clear fencing so that it prevents people from, accessing it without having to go through the proper entrances. Now, obviously, it's a very strong because it reduces it because of increasing surveillance and increasing the sort of authority level and the professionalism of such a facility. Right? And they have decreased levels of crime. But the problem is that one of the weaknesses is that it doesn't actually address the root cause of crime. So the criminal, instead of attacking that facility, he might go somewhere else. And there are some mixed results. And I just want to close off with just a final topic from eCohesion and Dean Support Services. And these are two very, very important organizations in Canada doing work for people with disabilities. It's crucial that we ensure we take a holistic approach to making our facilities and communities safe and secure. Including and engaging our sisters and brothers with disabilities throughout this process is essential, because they are the most vulnerable in emergencies and often targeted by intruders. So obviously in this case, we're referring specifically to the Muslim community, but Muslims with disabilities, including seniors, were among the first targets and victims during the attacks on Christchurch in New Zealand. And accessibility and accessible disaster management is imperative to remove barriers in emergency management, medical services access, evacuation, and resiliency. So obviously we're collaborating with Dean Support Services and eCohesion in trying to make sure that all different places of worship in schools and other facilities, not only are they safe and secure, but they're also accessible. Many mosques will have accessibility entrances, but there'll only be one, right? And We want to make sure there's a barrier-free, accessible disaster management and universal design. We want to make sure we're not leaving anybody behind. And this is their contact information if you'd like to reach out to them for services and consulting. And I'm very happy to be working with them and providing support to them. So if you need more education, you can always contact us through our Facebook page. And I also have an Instagram account, Younus.Imam, and that is essentially, I provide a lot of this information for free in the form of notes. So give us a follow and keep in touch. Thank you very much, Craig, for having me on. Really appreciate again this great opportunity. And if you guys do need more and more training, please get in touch. Have a nice day.
Younus, thank you very much for sharing those thoughts for us. I'm really delighted that we get to have you for this first in a series of videos about reducing the opportunity for people to cause harm in community spaces and places of worship. Hope everybody had their notebook with them during that session there as well. Some of the things that I noted down that Younus shared with us is about those S.A.T principles: surveillance, access, and territoriality. Hope I'm saying that right. So for surveillance, making sure that everything can be viewed in real time. So removing those things that might be in the way of cameras or people's line of sight and being able to see what's going on around them and what might happen as well, who's coming at them. Also access control, making sure there's one clearly managed and defined way in and many ways out for people who need to get out. And then that territoriality, about having schedules and making sure that there's clearly published and available schedules of using a facility in terms of the environmental design and having more and more usage so that there are more people there to in fact keep people safe. So having many more people ways of accessing the use of the facility and also having more people there and increasing maintenance to go along with the usage as well. So I think those are some really, really good principles. And I love the case studies or the examples that Younus shared. One of the things that I really noted is that the more you're seen, the less criminality can happen. So the more light, the more that you're seen, the more people around you, that core principle just reduces the number of things that can go wrong. So I really want to thank you, Younus, for the time that you've given, that you've invested into this and preparing and sharing the materials that you use on a weekly basis to make sure people are well prepared. So if you're interested in gaining a qualification in emergency response and risk management, just get through to me via LinkedIn or through YouTube or through our website, UARD.ac.nz. We'll be very, very happy to get you plugged into a program that meets your needs and the needs of your organization as well. So thanks very much for giving us your time. I'm Craig from the University of Applied Research and Development.